Let's go.
Hey.
Cash flow on the beat.
Boo. It's almost fucking Halloween, ain't it?
Cocktails and conversation.
Cocktails. We out here again.
We are.
Oh, man. Music live enough. Turn this down.
Don't turn my music up anymore.
Turn it down. Anyhow, we're here for another week.
Right, welcome
cocktails and conversation. We got Juicy Couture and Ocean Spray in the background still this week. So, hope y'all back with us too. Turn this off. We out here.
Yeah, we just go ahead and shut it.
His brother Yusuf Muhammad, Yams Creation.
And it's Tim Hargrove, Dark Shining Light, Finding Nuba, a.k.a. I am the brother like no other.
That's right. Darkness himself. Darkness. We out here. This is another week. Thank God. You know what? Let's start with something different.
Let's do it.
Let's start with thankfulness, man. Like,
man, I'm glad you said that, honestly, because all this week I have been just in a state of, like they say, the state of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say, I want to thank God for everything.
Yeah,
I got so emotional the other day, just being in the mindset of being thankful for the things that I have.
Uh-huh.
And I had to just really look at some things, not by looking at anyone else's situation, not comparing to myself to anything, but just really being thankful for being alive, for my family, and just all of the things that God has blessed me with, not just so far in the past, but just in the right now. Just really seeing life for what it is. And for all of the blessings that God has done and how he has showed up for me in my life, it was an emotional experience. And I think a lot of us just really need to start where we are and be thankful, and not even because people will compare, well, I want to thank you that I'm not like this, and I want to thank you that I had, no, just be thankful just for that moment, for the mindset of just being thankful. So I think that's very appropriate, my brother.
Gratitude. I want to just be thankful for the trials and tribulations. Yeah. And that's a wild thing to say, however, but, most of us, we're always thankful for the good that you go through.
Yeah.
And when you're going through the trials, the tribulations, the hardships, you're always asking God, why me? Why me? Why is this? And you become upset and frustrated with God. But however, I learned, and I'm just like everybody else, during the time periods, I'd be like, man, fuck this, I don't want to do this no more, I'd be crying. But you have your moment of epiphany in the pain that you have to say, thank you, God, for this, because I know you're strengthening me up for something different.
Yeah.
Thank you, God, for allowing me to do this, because someone else didn't make this test.
Yeah.
Someone else can do this. So thank you for choosing me. And please guide me through this so that on the end, I'm successful, I pass the test, and I don't have to repeat this.
Yeah.
So as I'm going through my life, and life be lifing, and whatever test I'm dealing with right now, I'm just thankful for it. I was pissed off with it for a few days, but, I got past it. Now it's like, all right, God, I got you. Thank you. Let me strengthen up, gird up my loins, as my brother Tim like to say, get you some nuts.
Gird up dog loins.
Right. And go ahead.
I think that was Mr. T on the Snickers. Get some nuts. That was a hilarious commercial. If y'all check that out. Mr. T with the Snickers commercial.
But you know what? That's leading into our conversation at aging, showing our age right here. Like, who's Mr. T? The man with the 50 gold chains. You know what? He started that.
Yeah, he did.
Before anybody was doing, everybody used to wear one chain.
Yeah.
That man walked around with 50 necklaces every day. And for the longest, I thought they were all like interconnected right here. Nah, they were all like single chains.
Man, he can have that.
I'm good. Nah, I think later on he got them interconnected.
Yeah, he did get them interconnected.
But in the beginning, they were all just like 50 different singles. Like, nah, I'm good. That's a lot of work right there. The beginning of every day. Anyhow, so leading into our conversation tonight, showing our age. As I said, going through trials, tribulations. And the thing that I want to talk about with us tonight is lessons we wish we knew then what we know now?
You know, it's funny because I was having a great conversation with my aunt. Shout out to my aunt.
What's happening,
My
Auntie?
aunt Manny Anthony. No, she's a very, very, very fun person to be around. You know, my aunt is she's been around the block, around the world, up and down the street. And she's very, very well versed. One of the most professional people that you can, someone who's lived life to the fullest. I mean, at every level. I've always admired my aunt for everything that she is, what she's always represented. Like, she always has like the perfect balance of what a person should be. And I want to give her flowers, you know, because I love her. You know, and she was telling me things from another perspective. And I think that's for myself as well. Because the number one thing, I'm going to just start with myself. My aunt, she was saying, you know, about getting your money right at an earlier age.
Ooh.
And a lot of people, their minds now are on money. And as we got deeper into the conversation, I realized how full she led her life. And the thing, she made me really reach inside of myself. And the thing that I want to really wish that I had when I was younger was a truer sense of who I am. Because when you know that without trying to please anybody else or without any, I wish that now a lot of people look at me and they go, man, but Tim, you really didn't really care about what other people think. But I did.
You did.
I really did.
Yeah.
And I wanted everyone to consider me intelligent. And I wanted everyone to see me with prestige and the way that I carried myself. But what mattered most is the way that I saw myself and the way that I connected with God. And when you have that, you have more of a fearlessness because you know that you're on the path of righteousness. Because the things that I wish that I would have known or it was really the things that I wished that I would have pursued more. And in the pursuit of being a better me, not a perfect me, but being who I truly am, that leads to everything else. If you are who you truly are without trying to please anyone else, it leads into you being prepared for the future, which leads to you bettering your money.
Oh, so let me dovetail on that one then. I'm going to start, same path you on, but I'm going to start with, at a younger age, I wish I had a better connection with God.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I knew and understood God more. You know, as a child, you do childish things. You grow up, put away childish stuff. You know that saying. However, as a child, when you're going to church, a lot of times you're just doing the ritual of things.
Yeah.
Over and over. You go on Sunday, you have your friends, you hang out, right? But when I started having my trials of life, got into an accident at 14, one at 3, you know, each one doctor's like, I don't know how you lived and death and everything. But it's at those points, even at 3, it's calling on God.
Yeah.
But not understanding what you're doing, but just calling on God. At 14, being thankful to God that you listened to him. When I was in a seat at 3 o'clock in the morning and my spirit says, get up, move back to the seat that you were in. A man moves over, takes the seat. 2 hours later, the bus crashes. He goes through the window. The same seat I was sitting in. Thank you, God, for saying something.
Let me get him and not me.
No, not like that. Oh, damn. Oh, man. I wish it wasn't either one of us. However, it was thankful to God that, you know what, I get up, go move. So listening,
Yeah.
getting older, walking into a situation where people doing things, it's like, you need to leave.
Yeah.
And something happens and it's like, oh, man. But it's when I was younger, getting the relationship with him better so that now if I understood, just listen. Not only listen, take heed and understand why I'm doing these things or saying these things to you. Because what happens is you continue to take the same test over and over again until you pass it. But taking that same test every time gets harder and harder because you're not on 1 + 1 = 2. Now you're on AB + C² = what? Now the test gets harder and harder as you get older. So I wish I'd understood God more.
Yeah.
And been more appreciative. We go back and forth. Go ahead, my brother.
No, but that's a good thing, man, because that leads to everything else. When you start with, man, let me connect with God, it literally, and it's funny because when you're little, they tell you, hey, read this and read that, and listen, and you hear it, but you're not listening. And all the answers is right there that'll lead you to where you need to go in life. I think the next thing was actually my connections and the friends that I had, because when you're a child, you just make friends with whoever's around. Hey, you want to play?
Well, you use that word friends too lightly.
Yeah, way too lightly.
Way too lightly.
But the thing is who I cultivated friendships with.
Oh, man.
Because it's people, people go, oh, man, you make friends everywhere you go. But the actual friends that you have, the people who you really connect to, if I were to connect to some of those guys earlier in life and really cultivated the friendship, the parts of our friendship that made us who we are, because you would be more, not worldly successful, but you'd be thinking on a whole different level. And being able to celebrate those wins at an earlier time. Because when you have that peer group around you, when you got that group of friends, and every last one of y'all have the same drive, because I delayed a lot of my progress by having people in my circle.
Anchors.
They didn't have a drive.
Didn't have
like you
none.
say, they really were anchoring you down.
That's it, bro.
They were great people. But because they didn't have the same level of drive that I had, because they didn't have the same burdens that I had, the burden I had was I want to do for the world. I want to provide services and to create value in the world. A lot of people are just complacent with where they are, which is not a bad thing.
That's it before.
However, if you're destined for something greater, you can't stay with the same thing that you have.
Everyone can't take this trip with you.
No.
I said that before, that lesson I learned, even walking into this podcast. Not everyone is meant to take this trip. Not everyone can go along with you and everything. So you have to be able to separate and say, okay, you know what? I love you. You're my homie.
Yeah.
But, this ain't the ride for you right now.
Yeah.
Because I have a different, trajectory in life.
Yeah.
And we cool. But, like my father always told me, Yusuf, bruh, everybody can go. You got to learn to separate.
Yeah.
And that's been the issue for a good part of my life. And if I'd understood it when I was younger, been a different path. But it was just that, where you going, not everyone can go. You going around presidents, leaders, these people, all your friends can't go with you.
Yeah.
All your partners can't go with you. So you got to learn to have fun with them. But they can come when the party's going on. But when the business is going, they got to be separate. Because it ain't for them to even be in this conversation. So learning who is a friend is number one.
Man, yeah.
And who should be an associate.
I'm telling you.
We always,
and who you shouldn't be around at
period,
all.
Right. Because it's that court law, guilt by association.
Yeah.
And you have friends that'll do something and you happen to be around. Like I was in my brother passed, my other brother passed the other week. So we went to his funeral service.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
May God be
I know
pleased
you've
with
been dealing
him.
with that.
Yeah. And in doing that, my brother, my blood brother, it was his brother. So I don't call him step, but my other brother's brother. He was who passed. But we were sitting there at the house talking with his mom. We were having conversations about the past, talking about the guilt by association. My brother says they were in a car riding around in a hatchback, 5 of them deep. This is when they were like 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And my brother's in the back of the hatchback. Police drives by. They all stare, but the police connects eyes with my brother in the back of the hatchback.
Oh,
so he whips around. So he was like, oh, shit. So he comes back. Dude starts interrogating them, makes everybody got the car, and they don't know the law.
Yeah.
So he gets out the car, and he kind of starts talking to them. They had nothing wrong with them. They were going from one house to the next other house. And the police asked them, can I search the car? They're like, oh, whatever, it's cool. Not knowing they're not supposed to search the car.
Yeah.
The friend had a pistol in the car under the front seat.
There it is.
Right there. So everybody now be able to go to jail because of this one dude.
Yeah.
Guilt by association. Again, they said that was the worst moment that he can remember his childhood because you about to go to jail for something. Because he said the police officer
Another
pulled
dummy.
everybody out the car. The only person in handcuffs, my brother.
Oh,
So the
man.
person driving who got the pistol, who should have told them, no, you can't search the car,
yeah.
got everybody in trouble. So again, who's friends, who's associates, and folks you shouldn't even be around.
If friends or fiends.
Go on over there, player. I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah, no, it's just with it, when we're talking about who we associate with, of course, relationships, because I know we can do a whole nother podcast
I might get on that one next.
on that. It's like, man, I wish I never would have even met that person. Should have just gave you a high five. But honestly, I wish that the thing is not the relationships, honestly, because I don't blame them. I blame what was it about me,
right?
About the choices. So it's like, man, I wish that never would have happened. No, one thing that I wished I would have had when I was younger that pertained to it was guidance on how to date.
Oh, so that's my next one. Go ahead, let's keep running with that one.
Because a lot of us are not taught enough about ourselves, not taught enough about how to vet people. When you're going out, you just see somebody's cute. Ooh, that look nice. It's just like if you were going car shopping.
Right.
Just because it's shiny don't mean that it worked. And a lot of women can look at guys like, yeah, he was so shiny, but he ain't going to work. But that's understanding how relationship dynamics work at a young age, because a lot of people get to the age where they actually can date, but they have no dating skills. They have no relationship skills. They have no. A lot of guys don't even have the skills to attract someone. But the other thing is the people that you're attracting, why are they attracted to you? Where is this going? What are you doing? It's just, it's like we are learning haphazardly by trial and error every generation.
So put some Worcestershire sauce on this because it's going to be a little tangy, but it's going to be good. So I'm going to double back to my homie, my big brother, my man, Mr. Farrakhan. So we're taught there's three things that they don't teach you. The three sciences that they don't teach you: the science of warfare, the science of business, and the science of mating.
Yeah.
Science of mating is the number one thing because the science of mating is how you control, develop, and grow a society. And the science of mating, the number one thing is who you pick as a mate.
Yep.
And many people don't understand and a lot of folks don't agree with it. But at the same time, I've heard people who don't agree with the science of mating, but they breed dogs.
Exactly.
I'm like, bruh, you are breeding dogs and don't agree with who you should lay down with. You should be very careful. No, man, you just, find somebody that's good for you. No, because not everybody is good for you.
How do you go about finding the good person for you?
Because they may be good for you on the short term, but they're the long-term good.
Exactly.
So you're dealing with a person, Mrs. Fat Booty and Mr. Gray Sweatpants, because they have these features.
Yeah.
But the other features that's upstairs are the ones that we
The
just got
things
to
that actually matter.
Right, like we just talking about the high functioning, I don't want to call it a bad word. How we call it high functioning?
Special person.
Thank you. High functioning special persons that walk around, they can have a conversation on one level, but when you start to get into the in depth with them, it's like, you can't roll with this one.
I didn't know you couldn't read.
What's 1 + 1?
You matched everything that I was doing. We was out there and Jill Scott was playing. We take the long walk around the park after dark.
But you did everything except for the right things. They know how to play the game. So the science of mating, and I would double back on this a little bit even more. Mm-hmm. I believe at a certain point, we weren't taught it because a lot of our parents don't know how to properly date anyhow.
And some of us didn't damn listen.
That's oh God, that's even more. Mama said, leave that nigga alone. She even said, boy, she called that certain one that nigga.
Look, use a nigga.
Right.
And I don't mean that in no nice way.
Like, leave him alone. He's bad for you. You still ran after that one.
Yeah.
So continue on that path. A lot of times we should not have been dating so early.
Yeah.
I honestly believe in many cases that most of us, and I understand this now as I've gotten older, I got my daughter and my son, is that I went to a kind of one room, not special, damn sure wasn't special, a one room classroom private school for a while. Mm. Then it got separated out. But at times they would separate the boys from the girls. When I was in it, I didn't like it. But as I got older and started seeing friends who were going through situations, I'm not dealing with these. I'm not focused on no other girl in class because there's a bunch of my partners in here. We're acting fools and about to find out what we're doing after school. But during school, we trying to make it happen. I done cheated and gave him a paper to make sure. But
This ain't no good example.
no, it is a good example because you're not focusing on
Hormones.
Right. You're focusing on getting the job done.
Exactly.
Think about when a bunch of grown men are sitting around
Yeah.
and we all have a task. Let's say 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 of us are not looking at the next man's thighs. It may be one in the room that you don't know, but most of us is like, yo, man.
I like you.
And I want you. The easy way, the hard way. Choice is yours. But, most of us are like on a construction site. You don't see a bunch of men looking at each other like, oh man, he got a fat butt over here picking up that picking up the pound 4x4s. We're not dealing with that.
Yeah.
So the construction site is always a bunch of men working and moving and making the job progress.
And the task is getting done.
Task is being done. We got a bunch of young men in class together. The task is being done.
Yeah.
Bunch of females in class together. The task is being done. So to separate us, I understood was a good thing.
Yeah.
So we're not focusing on dating. We're focused on education, learning, growing. And then once you've got past what you need to get as a fundamental base to grow on, then go find somebody.
And you know, you explained something very well. The art of business and the art of war. Without understanding business, the business about yourself, the business about war, the world, the business about what's going on around you, without understanding the art of war and how to do warfare and how to prepare yourself for both defense and attack and planning and strategizing, a man that can't do those two things isn't fit to mate.
That's it.
And that's the things that as I was growing older, I got those lessons here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But as young men, especially young Black American men, those things need to be taught on a mass level to both men and women.
Right.
Because we all need to understand who we are, how we value ourselves and the world around us. And having those lessons at an early age can prepare you miles ahead of your generations that are before you. The other thing is that I wish that I would have understood as or been taught and things that I would have known at a younger age is exactly or just the preciousness of time. The time that you use and the time that you spend.
It is not on your side.
Well, it is.
If you use it wisely. Right. Well, if you use it wisely, it is. But if you don't.
It can be, if I would have understood the very concept of time, especially as I understand it now, because God's time is not our time, which is a blessing. Because when you understand God, and this goes back to what we were saying earlier, if I would have had that relationship with God at and pursued it, like you can say in all your understanding and all your getting understanding, right? But the thing is that seek ye first the kingdom of God. And in the kingdom, you understand the laws of God. You understand the love of God when you actually have the love to pursue those things. Because when you're dealing with time, God can manipulate time where your bad times don't last long. It can fly by. And when you're spending time with someone or when you're spending time doing something, he can expand that time, that sense of space, where 45 minutes can seem like 45 hours. Or when you're in such bliss in doing something. Like some people, what was this song with Janet Jackson? Funny how time flies when you're having fun.
Funny how time flies when you're... Hey, sorry.
But when you're in the Spirit of God, he can prolong that time. You understand what I'm saying? So that your perception of it and the things that you enjoy, it just expands out. And the people that we love, understanding the preciousness of time, it makes you not waste it. Even Tupac, we going from Janet Jackson to Tupac. So I guess it's poetic justice up here. So Tupac said, niggas never realize the precious time that bitch niggas be wasting.
Oh, wow.
But if you really think about that, time is so precious. This man, we're still talking to him to this day. He only lived to be 25 years old. He was a kid. 25, 26. He was a kid. He was a kid.
Very much so.
Your brain is at peak development at around about 25. So to have not wasted your time in a way where you have well use of your time, that people will talk about you forever. And it's not the fact that, hey, people are going to talk about me because of this. It's understanding the preciousness of time. Man, that is a one thing that I really wish that I had at a younger age, because it makes you really understand what you're doing, how long it takes for you to do something, what you should be spending your time doing, and your efforts toward the people that you spend your time with. It really encompasses everything that I'm thinking about. It encompasses everything, because when you have that sense of time, you don't waste time in conversations
Not at
that
all.
are not frugal, or not fruitful.
You don't waste your time around people
Man,
that are not developing and putting something into you. So that'll be jumping in the mind then.
yeah. Or
Mine.
just watching TV mindlessly.
That's it. That's a whole other conversation right there. These soap operas and reality shows that aren't reality. But anyhow, my next lesson that I wish I would have paid more attention to.
What's that?
This is kind of for every mature man. The things my father taught me. You know, your father tell you stuff when you're young,
Oh, yeah.
but you are arrogant mother at that point. And say age brings wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Youth is immaturity quite often. And in your immaturity, your father tell you, I remember my father told me, we keep 100 on here. There was this dude my father was dealing with. I always been in hustles and business deal. And this dude wanted to sell a BMW for like 15 grand. He was like, just give me a deposit and I get the car, blah, blah, blah. I did it in front of my father. For whatever reason, my spirit said, do it in front of your father. And my father says, before I got it, he said, son, I'm going to say this in front of this dude. I don't trust him.
Period.
Don't
right in front of him.
Right. Don't get this man no money.
Yeah.
He gonna take you and run off. And my arrogance was like, nah, he ain't gonna do this. You know, he's a good man, blah, blah, blah. But I'm more concerned about the deal and seeing the money.
Yeah.
Not listening to the wisdom. He took the money and left.
Took a run and ran.
I had to get
Should have listened to your daddy.
Right. I had to get the money back up, pay it back to the other person,
Yeah.
and contemplate not breaking this dude's leg. But in all of it, again, my father came back. He said, you can't, he even told me that, you can't do it.
Yeah.
I was like, I done tracked him down. I know where his wife at. I know where his daughter at.
About to get
I can
him.
find him. I can get him. My father was like, what for? I told you not to do it. It is done, son. You know, that's the hustle of the streets of life.
Yeah.
Either you're going to listen or you're not.
Like my mama said, you just bought a lesson.
Right.
And my grandma was saying, you bought that lesson's bought right there.
It was an expensive lesson.
Yeah.
But if you just listen, son. He told me one thing later on. He's like, son, we were going through some, he was like, son, I don't understand you. He said, do you not think that I love you? Do you not think that I'm going to help you, son? He's like, your success is my success. I wouldn't tell you anything to hurt you because that will hurt my future through you, son.
Yeah.
Maturity kicks in at this point. You're right.
You know what? Let me go ahead.
Let me go ahead and sit down. Because I'm sitting up here just trying to keep busting my head doing my way. I forget, your father's done this, he's done that. Just listen.
Yeah.
And throughout your life, and this is one of the maturity sessions for us black men who have the fathers at home, especially if you got somebody young in your life. Listen, bro, like going back to what you said, time.
Mm-hmm.
It is not on your side, but it is if you use it properly.
Yeah.
But the time of life is you never know when this person leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And the wisdom your father gives you is only while they're here. I tell you, my father told me another thing. So my father was, I look forward to getting this man's schedule half the time, we get on the show. But we were talking, my father was a car thief. a very professional car thief. Like he had the fastest record in Chicago type car thief, doing very well with it. He was young. He got out. Life changed. Went through 16. He left the house. He got kicked out the house. He didn't leave. He got kicked out the house. Correctness on that. Got kicked out the house and got on heroin and was doing drugs. So from like 16 to 20, he was just out there wilding out. Got off of it at 20, 21. Got his life straight. Became better. But between 16 and 20, he and his father weren't talking.
Yeah.
Because he was wilding. His father said, don't come around with that BS. Because you bring that around here to my wife, I'm going to end it for you. So, you ain't bringing that stuff to the house.
Real conversation.
Right, real conversations with real men. It's about 20, got up off of it. He doing better. 22, his dad dies.
Oh, man. So you got a whole gap in time.
Whole gap in time. And the only regret my father says he has in his life is that I did listen to my father more.
Wow.
No other regrets. Have I ever heard him say it? I ain't never regret nothing. He said, I hit that man in his face. It is what it is. I did. I said this. It is what it is. But the regret I have is I didn't listen to my father more.
I think that I want to piggyback on that because that's one thing that I've been, research, and you know me, I love to research, and I love to listen to lectures. And one thing that I look at this generation is, and I say this generation, not saying that the young people, I'm talking about this actual whole timeline. Mm-hmm. This whole timeline of everyone who's living all the way to everyone who's being born. In this timeline, there's less respect for elders.
Man.
And that's one of the things that I wish that I would have, not that I disrespect the elders, but actually honoring them in a way that I could benefit off of their wisdom. And the other thing is actually speaking to the person that's the expert in their field. Because a lot of times we're listening to people, but we're listening to the wrong people.
Right.
So like, okay, I can't go to the person who's the expert in food and ask them about dieting. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go to the person who is the best at money, you want to go to the money expert.
Right.
If you want to go to the person who's best at education, go to the education expert. And that's one thing that I wish that I would have understood that concept. Like a lot of people have general wisdom. It's nothing wrong with getting wisdom from people, but actually going to the source, actually going to the person who's been there, done that, who's risen, who's failed, who's risen again, and understanding the value in the person who has learned from their mistakes and learned from their downfall in order to build themselves up to where they need to be. And a lot of us have listened to the wrong people. Like, why would I listen to somebody who's never had a successful relationship about relationships?
Right. Come on, man.
I want to listen to the person who's been there, who's had the rises, who had the falls, who had the successes, who had the failures, and they're on their way in a positive light. Because a lot of people listen to people who have experience, but they haven't benefited from their own experience.
That's right. And
brother. That's the thing about it, is understanding where you're getting your advice from and the experience or the spirit in which they're teaching. Because you said something that really struck, my core, is that your father saying, listen to me because I have a vested interest in you. Because when you succeed, I succeed. And a lot of us have had the person who really had our back. And we listened to somebody else who did not have your best interest because you couldn't see it. You couldn't see that they were really jealous behind your back. You couldn't see that they were actually setting their own children up for success by plotting your downfall. We didn't see that person gave you bad advice because they maybe had a bubble guts. They got into the wrong relationship, or they made a bad investment, or they had a bad experience at a HBCU, or whatever the case. You have to understand the spirit in which the information and the guidance is coming from. You have to have discernment. And that's one thing that I wish that I would have knew at a younger age, is having discernment for the advice that I was getting, and not, dedicating huge portions of my life on bad advice.
Yeah, I think in the Quran or the Bible, it says something about when someone brings you news, look wisely into it because it may be giving you something off. But it's saying the same thing. You know, every time someone gives, again, it's just age, maturity. Maturity is that every time someone tells me something at this point in my life, I have to sit and listen to it.
Yeah.
Like really take it in. They're like, oh, you gonna make a decision? Nah, give me a day. Even if I have a decision in my mind right then and there, I still need to figure this out just a little bit more because I don't know. We're taught that your emotional and mental outlook at that moment determines how you make a decision. I think I'm saying that right. But if you are emotionally distraught and you're in a mental bind, you will not make the best decisions at that moment.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to sit there and wait. So you take something in. Again, even in your emotional and mental outlook at the moment, it can determine how you see something.
Oh, yeah.
You can watch an accident. You've seen an accident. People give 5 different interpretations of it. And they have to finally just look at the camera and be like, oh, y'all was wrong.
This is what really happened.
This is what really happened. So I feel you on that one. And even dealing with more with the older people is that I get saddened quite often when I see our older society having to work at this point.
Yeah.
Like that really bothers me.
Yeah.
When you see 70, 80-year-old person having to get up and go to work, like they worked their whole life. At some point, they deserve to stop and enjoy it. Like my thing, once you're at the age of 65, 70, you should be just chilling.
Well, it depends on the person.
Well,
you know, I guess I got a different aspect of looking at it.
If they work their whole life like a 9-to-5 type thing.
Yeah, okay. If they like that type of deal and they put in the work.
But then they got to now
hard work.
Retire and find another job just to continue to sustain and live. Like, again, like you were saying, respecting the elders and paying attention more to them. I look at the society on the top is just so greedy that you don't even pay attention that one day that's going to be you.
They don't really understand the value of people who are well-versed in the world. Like, look at the movie 300, right?
This is Sparta.
The king went to the ancients and in order to get guidance in what he wanted to do. And that's the way society has always operated. You want to go, why am I just trusting what's in this book when this person has decades of experiences in timelines that I can only read about, I can only watch a video about. This person has interacted with people. This person has different skills. This person has a whole different set. And they've been here, they've done that, and they've experienced things and levels and people. And all of these different mini lessons within a whole curriculum. You can have a conversation with a person and get 60, 50, 70, 80 years of experience within a conversation. And that person can elevate who you are just by having that conversation, just by being interested. And they can guide you in a direction that's going to work for you.
Man, you can talk to us, like you were telling me before we got on the show, you were talking about your aunt and the guidance she was giving you and talking to you at 80. We're taught that, a man doesn't begin, just men and women, you don't learn how to live until you hit 75.
Man, I heard the minister talking about that.
Right.
Man. You don't even really hit that maturity till you hit that 75.
Right.
Especially if you've lived right.
Right.
And
you live in the life, and then 75. He said that's the reason why you see so many older people in church.
Yeah. Because
they've done their life their whole way. They did the way they want to. They get 60, 70, you're like, you know what? I'm doing this wrong. God, I'm going to come holler at you, my fault. And now you got the last part of your life, you're trying to get it better. But, it's that maturity that, again, you go talk to them.
Yeah.
And you sit down and the same dumb stuff you're going to, like, I'm starting this new series. I started a while ago, but I'm going to get it back going. I randomly ask couples that I see that are older, what made it work? And this lady, I recorded her the other day. I was out. She was just coming in. We were passing each other. And she was saying, I said, sister, she was like, I got to get home to my boo. I was like, oh, how long you been married? Fabulous rock on her hand.
Yeah.
She's like, 30 years. And then I was like, okay, what, how did it work? And she said at first, how much of side pieces?
Oh, Lord.
She's like, nah, don't let me say that because my husband is a whole other problem. She said the way it worked is that you have to realize when to let things go.
Yeah.
Some things aren't worth it. And again, she said, when I was younger, I would argue and fighting every time something came. But she said, but the more I got into the relationship, I understood that let it go.
You know,
we gotta have your good days and bad days. There ain't no point in arguing.
A lot of older people, they're not going to waste time arguing with you.
No.
Like, they're not going to waste time. They're not going to waste energy. And a lot of things that we do, because we were younger, we have the energy to do it. So we'll go back and forth with you, not understanding the preciousness of time. Not understanding the value, and what you're like. A lot of times when you're doing something, expending extra energy, you're aging yourself. And you know, it's funny because a lot of people who are a lot older, they're in better shape than people that are younger now.
Right.
They're bodybuilding, they're exercising, they're dancing, they're more involved. And you see people who are younger who are not engaged. A lot of people who are older have better mindsets. They have stronger minds. So you're not going to find them moping around, oh, I'm depressed. For what?
What?
I'm
alive.
sad for the sake of being sad. And it's because you ain't eating right. It's because
you ain't thinking right.
You're dwelling on something that ain't got nothing to do with you. Or you're just dwelling on something that's already passed. Like you said, you should have let it go.
Another one, like back on the relationship thing, it's kind of doubling back what we said before. I wish, one, you hadn't dating, but I wish I would have got married younger.
You
To
do?
the right person.
To the right person, yeah.
Right. We got married
I got married younger.
Right. So like I look at my parents, they got married at like 22, 24, whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
But they had all of us.
Yeah.
So by the time they were 40, we were going.
Oh man, what you talking about? Like
Right,
I'm just
so-
getting started.
Right. You just getting started.
Like, man,
and this time they're like, okay, the children gone. They're in college now.
We can enjoy each
We
other.
can enjoy each other. So you get to rekindle and re-know your mate at that point.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for 20 years, y'all really ain't been y'all. Y'all got to deal with children.
Y'all been parents.
Right. Reacting to stuff. Now at 40, you're a little bit more mature. Now we can get to know each other and let's redate.
And you got some money on you.
Right.
You got some extra money. 'cause
Extra
they
money.
gone.
Right. Let's date. And we date on another level because,
Yeah.
you know, back then, you know, whatever, imagine getting married in the 80s and 2000 now, now you're 40. Life is different.
Yeah. Totally different.
Yeah, you can go see the world.
Yeah.
Now, if we'd have been getting married in my 20s, what is that? 2015-ish, whatever like that.
Bro, I was married twice in my 20s. So
Gosh.
it was like, for me, but I understand where you're coming from. It's
Imagine
like,
if you'd have married.
If I would have married the right person, my wife now,
Right.
when I was younger,
Oh.
man, because, and that's the other thing, is not just that, is when you're connected to the right person. That's one thing too that I really wish that I would have did the right, connecting with that right mate, because that literally determines how far you can actually go and how much you can enrich another person. Because men that get married early, when you have great intentions, let's say the actual men, not just the males.
Not the males.
That was trying to get a green card, or was trying to live off some woman, or who
I
was
paid
just,
$30,000 to marry me.
you know what I'm saying, trying to keep hold of her so she won't go on to the guy she was supposed to. But the actual men, we want to pour into someone, right? And we have these goals and things that we're trying to do. But when you're being poured into right back, it makes all the difference. Because a lot of people go into a relationship thinking, I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that. And they got to be this, and they got to be that. That's not what a relationship is. It's thinking me, me, me. It's almost like when I hear the majority of people when relationships come up, it's like hearing a child ask for Christmas. And I want this for Christmas, and I want that, and it must be this, and it's that, and I'm buying a bike, I want a doll. But when you hear a parent or a mature person or a community leader, when they're talking about Christmas, they're thinking about what can they provide? What do you want? What can I do? How much time what can I give? See, that's the difference between understanding. When God, right, it said that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. He didn't think about, and they're gonna worship me, and they're gonna do this. And what can I give to you? You understand what I'm saying? When like the organization that I work for, and I ain't gonna say it on this podcast, but I'm a case manager, and we're gearing up for Christmas right now. We're almost shutting down, gearing up for Christmas. And we're thinking of all the ways that we can serve our community. What do they need? Now let's go past what do they need. What do they want? Now let's go past what do they want. What do they desire? What can we give? How can we be of service? And that's what a relationship is. It's I get my needs met by helping serve you. And when you have someone who's looking at you the same way, I want to help serve you. What's our mission? What did God show you? And then when you're looking at them, especially as a man looking into your wife, well, what did God show you? Because you're actually interested. You actually see their goals. You see their skills. And you see how you guys combine, like the art, like you said, it's the art of mating. But if I don't understand business and I don't understand war, I can't protect her. If I don't see the vision that God gave her, I don't see how she can pour into the vision that God gave me. Because she doesn't know her skill set. She doesn't know if a person is too independent, then they cannot see the grand total of things. Because they're too worried about self when that's not what makes a marriage. Like choosing a mate, right? I was listening to this talk. It wasn't a TED talk, it was a manhood lecture. And you have to be very careful when you're choosing a mate, because when I impregnated my wife, my daughter was born with my grandchildren's eggs.
Bruh,
Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
A woman is born with all the eggs that she's going to have. So while my child was developing, we were developing my grandchildren.
Yes, sir.
So one half of my grandchildren have been developed in my wife's womb. So I had to make sure that my wife's womb was clear. I had to make sure that I could clean the atmosphere. Like people see my child and they go, oh, she's so happy. She's so loving. She's so smart. She's so this. We cultivated that atmosphere. Thank goodness that I listened to that lecture, How to Make a God. Because when you are developing that, but you have to have the mate that has that mindset, that mate that sees her future in you, and you got to see your future in her. But I wish that I would have learned that earlier, because the time that was wasted and I don't want to say it was just wasted time, but had you known that earlier, there's a lot of lessons that you could have learned earlier. You would have connected, and I would have even more time to spend with my spouse instead of learning things by trial and error, instead of buying the lessons that had I had that connection with God, had I understood my time, had I listened to my elders, had I cultivated my friendships, I would have met my wife. And it's so funny that we're saying that because it's literally true. Well, my wife had always been around me, and I was connected to somebody else. We stayed in the same apartments, and I was married to somebody else. And my ex-wife, they were wonderful people. I can't drag them. You know what I'm saying? The relationship was wrong. You understand what I'm saying?
Good people. It's not good for you.
Good people. All of us, we're great people, you know? And I don't want to say everybody's not a great person. But sometimes things just do not work out. And it's up to us to make sure that they do.
Well,
by making sure that we're who we're supposed to be.
Being who you're supposed to be, that's
actually being yourself.
And that's one of the things I wish I knew when I was younger. You know, how to figure out what my path is.
Yeah.
Too often we are going on, we talk about time again. It's the thing tonight. We talk about what we want to do, but that's a lot of wasted time too often. God's time is a time that, like you were saying, God can manipulate time, God makes time. But I've always been taught that things do out of due season do more harm than good.
Yeah.
And if you are striving to be a hip hop entertainer, and this is the time of development and growth, for the mindset, you're out of sync with time.
Yeah.
You're going to do more harm in your life than you're doing good. You were created to be that next doctor, yet you want to go out and be a basketball player, and you're using your hands for the wrong things.
Exactly.
More harm than good. So I wish when I was younger, I was on a path. However, I would have listened more to see was the path that I was on was that of God. Because I did some things along the path that got me thrown off.
Yeah.
When I was on doing all my little things that would throw me off, he was there the whole time. He told me, don't do that. Son,
He was right there.
right there. He told me
Right
every
there.
time, I can help you now. Turn around and go back.
Yeah.
Stop. And I was like, nah. Again, like, listen to my father. I got this. Immaturity. 25 hits. This. I understood why when people saying, remember, well, it's not like that nowadays, but if those of us who aged ourselves, we know this. Remember growing up, they used to have 25 and up clubs.
Oh, yeah.
I never understood it till I hit 25. Then I was like, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Nah, you're right. It's a difference between 21 and 25. It's a different mindset between 18 and 21. Each one of these mindsets develop and grow. But if you'd have knew at 12 what you knew at 25 about getting your life together, and this is why I think mentors are so great.
Oh, man.
And I think more people should get into these mentoring programs and go in there listening. We give good advice, but listen.
And actually apply it.
Apply the knowledge. They don't even
Actually
listen.
apply it.
Hear what they're saying, because listening is just that. You're listening. Hear what they're saying and see how it applies to help your life. Because if a person would have told you, again, it's a fork in the road.
Yeah.
Don't go straight. Go left or right. Don't go straight. But you keep running straight because you just head on doing what you want to do and you fall off that cliff.
Yeah.
You go left, you go on the path that you're supposed to. You go right. It's a longer path to the destination, but you still make it. I wish I'd have listened a little bit more.
Should have followed that direction. Now I want to get into what my aunt was talking. One of the things that she was talking about was the money. Like, you can have the greatest mind, you can have the greatest plans, you can have all of these things, but if you ain't got your money right, don't none of that matter. You know, it's just like when you get older. I was listening to this lady say, you so cute. This, that, and other. Oh, you got nice clothes, you dress well, you look like this. But once you get older, look, is your money right?
Is your money right? and you look at all our young brothers now. Look at myself, 40, single. But that's the question.
Is your money right?
Is your money right? Where are you at? Because at this point in your life, you should have some things together.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking to build, you can't build on osmosis. You can't build on paper plates. Keela was the Ocean Spray was talking about the other week, having a shaky foundation. If you're not building it right, it'll implode on itself.
That's right.
And this is what happened with all these relationships: is that a lot of us women get into it with Mr. Gray Sweatpants and smooth talk.
Yeah.
Men get into it with Mr. Fat Booty who can't cook.
Yeah.
And like you were talking about earlier,
the foundation's messed up. That foundation's shaking.
That girl talking about, I can do for you. And you ask, and she said she can cook this. You're like, I don't eat that.
Yeah, that's the one thing. It's like having that foundation. Because we'll just talk about it. Because it was this girl that I was messing around with. We weren't dating. And let's just go ahead. I was a hoe. I was like,
hoeing is a way of life.
But anyway, I was just dating around. And, she wanted to be my girlfriend. And I ain't caring nothing for her being my girlfriend. And she was doing everything that she could to convince me. And I wish that she had other women around her to tell. A man shouldn't tell you no twice.
Ooh.
And
say it again one more time so they can hear that.
Young ladies, a man should not tell you no twice. Oh, man. If a man is not interested in you, then move on. Because I guarantee you there are men. And not just that, there's plenty of men out there, but there's the right man out. Don't waste your time on someone who doesn't want you. Because she was attempting to
woo
to
you.
win me.
She was trying to woo into you.
Prepared to be wooed
by the best of wooers.
But the things that she was offering were things that I didn't want. First of all, she smoked. I didn't smoke. You know what I'm saying? She never worked out. I worked out. You know how I was.
Yeah.
It was 3 times a day, 6 days a week. For her, she did a lot of things that it just weren't. What was I doing messing with her, first of all?
That's all.
You know what I'm saying? Just being a hoe. And the other thing is, I was at that point, you know my personality. It is what it is. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Because she's like, so what were you doing the other day? I was on a date. And her little feelings were hurt. You know, well, we could date, we could be this, that, and the other. I could cook for you, and I can cook this, and I can cook brisket. And I'm like, baby, I don't eat meat. You know what I mean? Like, and everything that's what she was offering is what I didn't want and what I didn't need. And those are the things that I regret, is not understanding what I am, what I want, and what I need, and how to cultivate that.
Man.
And a lot of us are out there not understanding ourselves and not understand what we provide and connecting to the people who need the things that we provide. I see it, man. Go ahead and get your chef hat out.
My chef hat is on, but I fear one of my producers may step in and say something after this one. Who knows? Woman's intuition.
Uh-huh.
That is one of the strongest powers.
When it's used properly.
When it's used properly, that they can have. A woman will meet a man. I've heard so many women say this. A sister, she met a brother, and she literally said, "That is my husband." Her spirit told her that. This is not like Mr. Gray Sweatpants, swole. This is just average. Like you and I walking down the street chilling.
Wait a minute, I ain't average, man. Hold on.
You're above average, but you're not walking around flexing. This is not old Tim. This is modern Tim.
I got
modern Tim walking around the street now. You just nice looking brother.
Just
a guy.
Yeah, I used to be superhuman.
Right, you were superhuman back then. Now you're just a guy who's nice looking. And she met him and she said, "That's my husband."
Yeah.
4 women I've heard. 2 did it. 2 didn't.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 did it have been married 40 years. The 2 didn't have been through 3 divorces.
Wow.
Your intuition told you right then and there, this is for you. Now, it may have been wrong, may have been right. But the thing is, just like he told you about that one person, that intuition told you, you need to leave this dinner right here. This dude is not worth your time.
Yep.
This person right here is a waste. This person, the woman's intuition will help her pour into her what is best for her. Mm-hmm. But too often I see a lot of my sisters say, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do.
I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Right. There is a inside joke for the audience. There's a very funny story. We will have someone come on and explain that story.
One of these days.
This is going to be a really good time for y'all.
One of these days.
But no, honestly, we talked about earlier. I don't know why I keep saying honestly all the time today. Honestly,
I ain't gonna lie.
Last time I was
honestly telling you this.
But when a woman is connected to God, and when she's reading her word, and when she's being exactly who she is, the voice that she's listening to is the voice of God, not her own self, and not, something that she heard over the internet. When we see a good thing, we understand it, especially with the man, when we're pursuing the things that we need. A lot of us have had that voice to leave this alone. Don't touch that person. Don't take that job. I'm like, man, but I need this job. You went and took it anyway.
And it was
next thing you know, you don't like your coworkers, your boss trying to find ways to fire you. Like, man, I wish I never would have came over here. So that a lot of times we really have to learn to listen. But that comes with maturity, because a lot of times, like you said, the definition of woman, you understand what I'm saying? Female don't mean woman. Female is, that's just what you were born to be. But a woman, to be an actual woman,
Shout out to Juicy Fruit who corrected us on that episode.
Yeah.
Juicy Fruit was telling us it's a difference between a woman and a female.
Look now, I'm calling her. But she's absolutely correct because a woman takes cultivation just like a man.
Now, a woman is a human being.
A human being.
To start with. That's what the issue was. A female can be anybody.
Female can be any animal. But when I'm talking about my definition of a true woman, a true person who has cultivated themselves, right? Same thing with a man. That's someone who that they understand life. They're living things in the way that it should be lived. When you're not connected to a person who's living the way that they should, when you're connected to a person, the wrong person, there's all kind of messed up stuff that goes on. But I regret not listening to that voice say, hey, you need to get out of this. You see all these people leaving this job? You need to move. It's time for you to leave too. You don't buy that car. Buy over here.
Right.
Put your money into this investment. Go ahead and put this stuff aside. A lot of us, we've heard, but we didn't follow through. Our actions didn't take place. And if we would have taken the action, see, the thing is, not taking action is the same as taking the wrong action.
Right.
When you're supposed to do something and you just don't do anything, that's just as bad as doing the wrong thing. Because when it's time for you to act, you need to act. And that's another regret that I have is being stagnant and not moving when God told me to move.
Man.
And that takes everything, not speaking to that person. A lot of times God would give me a word. A lot of times when we have wisdom and God gives us a word to speak to somebody and we withhold it, we're held accountable for that. Because our life is not our own. There's a young woman who needs that guidance that the older woman has. And if she holds that up and she sees that this young lady is going through something. This young lady needs some guidance. And a lot of people who are older I ain't gonna say nothing. They just gonna have to learn.
That's messed up. I always think that's so messed up. Like,
it's detrimental.
Why would you allow that person
to fall in that hole when you knew it was there?
You went into that hole yourself and you knew what it did to your life. And you still will allow that person to go through the same issues that you went through, but maybe even worse because of society today. That is real messed up.
And especially if you have a connection with that person.
Oh, man, come on, bro.
Here's the thing. Now, I don't know if our listeners know this. You know, I was in the military for 12 years. And a bad practice that I would see. I was raised, when I came into the Army, it was still a lot of old school soldiers. And I made sure that I connected with a lot of older soldiers. And they allowed me to see some of the games that people play. And that's going to lead into the next thing that I want to talk about. But
go ahead.
There's a practice that they give you enough rope to hang yourself with. And when you see a person going down the wrong path, and you see a person just allowing them to go down that path, that's what they call giving you enough rope to hang yourself with.
That's messed up.
Because my thing is, we are, first of all, to receive correction is a blessing upon the person who's being corrected. Because when you can receive chastisement or correction, or when a friend or a family member or an elder or just someone who cares for you see you going down the wrong path, it's a blessing to receive that because it takes courage for them to actually talk to you. But there are some of us who are connected to that cousin, to that church member, to that coworker, to that neighbor or that kid that play outside, and we see them sneaking in and out of somebody's house when they mama at home. We see that child skipping school. We see that young lady who's too close to another woman's husband. We see that young man who is dibbling and dabbling in the wrong things and he's trying to live a fast life. We see these things and we withhold the wisdom that God gave us. And we know that God told us to speak. We heard that voice. Hey, we need to say something. We need to befriend that person. And when you allow those things and you can just see, you already know where that road leads to. You see them going down the wrong path, yet you never said anything. You're being held accountable for that. Not saying that everyone is our responsibility, because some things it's not our business, but some things are. Because I hate when people say, hey, that's not my business. But some things are your business.
I look at it, when things are put in your face, it is yours.
Yeah.
God allows things to be put in certain people. The thing about it, you see all this stuff that happens on social media, and you be like, man, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
You weren't there for a specific reason because your action is not going to be the one that's needed.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen so many times with these police officers who were antagonizing and beating up these young children, and you always see some black folks like, man, I wish I was there. Well, it wasn't for you to be there because it wasn't that time yet.
Yeah.
Montgomery's now proved the time is coming.
Oh, yeah.
Stop the BS and put the camera down and go deal with
somebody.
it. That's what Montgomery proved. And anyhow, yeah, not everything is for us. I'm going to start wrapping this up because I start saying stuff I shouldn't be saying online.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
I want to wrap it up with the last thing.
Go ahead, my brother.
And, understanding how to have tact in the things that we do.
Ooh.
Understanding the political atmosphere when I go into a higher level. Understanding my social surroundings. I learned that really how to be tactful and how to conduct myself accordingly.
Truth and tat.
I
don't have. My friends have told me that always.
We always have it because there's a way to behave and a way not to behave.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're going up a level, when you're understanding that, when God takes you higher, like you said, we started this out with thankfulness. And I'm thankful for my bad times because they fine-tune me.
Right.
All those mistakes, a lot of times we said, man, I wish I would have known this younger. But as we matured, as we went through those things, he prepared us for the next step. And I'm thankful that I'm prepared for the next step. If I would have learned it at a younger age, it would prepare you differently. But I just want to say the thing is, I don't have a regret. I'm thankful for my path. A lot of times we say, hey, I wish I would have learned this earlier. But God's timing, like we say, God's timing is ultimate timing. Because had we known better, we would have done better.
Mm-hmm.
We would have understood. So it was not time for that. Some people are like pine trees. They grow up quick. And some people are like red oaks. It might take some time, but they're the tallest things in the forest. And God's time is just that. It's in God's time. I'm thankful for the mindset. I'm thankful for the now.
My lasting one. Talk about thankful and regret and things I would have learned. I wish. So, the Nation of Islam, this is one of our most repeated phrases. The most powerful 6-word phrase I think you will ever hear in your life. Accept your own and be yourself.
Yeah.
Again, accept your own and be yourself. This phrase is so powerful because when you start to think about what it means, again, going back to as a child, and we're dealing with this in today's society, and if I get issues for this, kick rocks. But you have so many youth that don't want to accept themselves.
Yeah.
Like you said, for you and I, and us growing up, most of the people listening, it was 2 genders, male and female.
Yeah.
Now you're growing up with, it's a new generation, gender equivalent being developed every day because people don't want to accept themselves. They want to be what they want to be. They want to live in, I call it, and it's no disrespect on anybody, but a lot of the stuff that you're calling yourselves is a fantasy world. Because one of the biggest examples to me, and I'm keeping it very blank because some stuff I do accept and some stuff I don't. So if you want to go there with me, meet me in person. We had that conversation.
Oh, you ready to fight?
I'm down for it. You better know. The suit is just a nice piece of outfit I like. I'm down about that life. So the one that someone told me one day, I was out doing my community active work, passing out stuff, and a dude got upset with one of the workers there because she said, "Good day, sir. How are you doing?" I saw his face when he said that. Looked at her strange. I said, "What's wrong with this dude?" And then she continued to say, "Well, sir, this is what we're doing for the day, and how can I help you, sir?" He got upset and said, "I am not a sir." So at that point, I was like, "Oh, my apologies. I'm thinking it's a he called himself as a transgender or something. He said, no, I go by the pronouns them and they. I said, what? Now Yusuf has stepped back into the place. Them and they, how them and they is more than one. That's a plural word, meaning more than one. So how are you them and they? Are you schizophrenic? Now, how are we supposed to know that you are them or they when you walked up as a full, complete dressed man? So that accepting your own and being yourself, like, how are you this when God created you to be this? My love for Prince via all my friends at this point, and him accepting himself as you go through his matriculation in music. I know my producer said he's about to fight right now.
Yeah, you almost got hit with that Alabama chair. Talk about Prince if you want to.
Right.
They point to the chair right down in the studio. you better be tread carefully.
Georgia Wood.
See, violence is a must over here. But his matriculation, he developed in loving himself.
Yeah.
He went by Prince. He didn't go by nothing else. I am me.
Yeah.
He didn't call himself a them a day. He said he's Prince. And he accepted who he was. And we had to accept who he was. All that to say, like I said, it is more that can be said. I'm just trying to find the nice, politically correct way of saying things.
Here we go. Our producer's about to hit you again.
Politically
I hear
correct.
all the coughing and all
that.
Wrap it up, brother Yusuf.
Wrap it up, Nick. Wrap it up, B. But all that to say again, accept your own and be yourself. Whoever you are striving to be in life, know the path. And I honestly say know the path. And I'm going to say this one more time because the other part of me and my development in life, going back to being Muslim. So most folks judge you off of what they know automatically. You're a Nation of Islam, you're a Muslim, and you're against Christians and what they think they believe.
Yeah.
And you don't like white people and you're against everybody. I was like, y'all don't know me. I went to a Christian college in Kentucky. My roommates for the first year were gay. So, I mean, everything that you have against me, I could defeat all of that. Like, that's not me. But I accepted all my male gay friends and the ones I still know nowadays because they got into it because they accepted who they were at a young age.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that I see a lot of society doing now, and this is just my opinion, a good quarter of them are doing it because it's a fad.
Yeah.
And I've seen this happen with some of my friends that I've had. They got into it as a fad, and then they got older, and it was something they didn't want to be done anymore, and they tried to disassociate themselves. Like, nah, partner, that is still a part of you. You got to accept everything that you did, and that's one of the things that you did in your life. Take it. Be the person that you are and keep moving.
Exactly.
Accept your own, be yourself. It'll help you grow and keep a lot of the issues that you have developed in your own mind from growing more. Again, I'm just talking at the end, but I'm thankful for the conversation. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for this podcast. I'm thankful for Ocean Spray and Key Lime Juice. And
everybody's like, who is that? Oh, our producers 1 and 2.
1 and 2, and all the stuff that they tell me, they be whooping my behind when I get off this podcast.
Yeah,
I said
something
because I said something I'm supposed to quite often. But I'm thankful for the opportunity to sit down with you, Tim, always, because man, this is we met
great,
via our partner Rasul, but this became something different. Again, you grow with friends and do something better and bigger every time. So love y'all. I ain't got much else to say.
I know. Peace. Y'all sip on that for a bit.
Sip on it. Just don't choke. Peace.
Peace.
This is Yusuf Muhammad, DM's Creation. This is Cocktails and Conversation that you're listening to. Tune in every Friday at 7 p.m. on all streaming platforms. Like, follow, share. Tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. Look forward to you joining us.